If your team is using AI to write code, you really, really need to see this. We're about to break down how the AI assistant you choose could either be a predictable asset for your team or a hidden budget bomb that could potentially cost you 10 times more than you're expecting.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with a real-world price shock that, honestly, really got our attention. From there, we'll unpack the billing models behind that surprise. Then we'll dive into the per token costs, which are not what you think. And most importantly, we'll give you some concrete strategies to actually control your spending. Finally, we'll wrap it all up with a verdict on which tool is the right financial fit for your team.
So let's kick things off with a story. A bit of a cautionary tale, really, that every single manager needs to hear. This is not some theoretical what if. This is a real story about a very real and very large surprise bill. Just look at this. The difference here is, well, it's massive. We're talking about two tools doing the exact same heavy-duty job. One comes in at a totally reasonable $200, the other an eye-watering $2,000. That is a 10x gap, and that is the kind of thing that can blow any budget right out of the water. And listen, this isn't just some abstract data point. This is a direct quote from a developer who was in the trenches actually using these tools. Imagine you're the manager getting that expense report at the end of the month. It's a huge red flag that something is fundamentally different in how these services are charging you. So yeah, that leads us to the big question, right? How in the world can two tools that seem to do the exact same thing have a 10-fold price difference? Well, the answer isn't obvious. It's hidden in the billing models. Okay, so let's pop the hood and really dig into the mechanics here. We're going to peel back the marketing and look at the financial engine underneath. And it all boils down to two totally different philosophies. You've got a prepaid pool versus a classic pay-as-you-go model. Okay, here's the core difference, and it's a big one. Think of it like this. Cursor sells you a prepaid bucket of usage credits, but once it's empty, it's empty. Claude, on the other hand, operates more like your electricity bill. You just pay for what you actually use. Now, Cursor's model feels simple, but that prepaid limit, that's exactly where the danger is hiding. Once your team burns through it, and a busy team can do that fast, you start paying these on-demand rates that can just absolutely skyrocket. So let's be absolutely crystal clear about how this works, because this is where budgets get destroyed. That $200 monthly fee for Cursor's Ultra plan, that is not for unlimited usage. It's really just a prepayment for about $400 worth of service. For a really active developer, that credit can be gone in a single week. So what happens for the other 3 weeks of the month? That's all overage. Your budget predictability just goes right out the window. And if that wasn't enough, there's another hidden cost you've got to watch out for. If your team is using Cursor to access more powerful external models, like Claude's Opus model, Cursor tacks on what is basically a convenience fee. It's a markup of around 20%. And that margin is just stacked right on top of everything else, siphoning money from your budget even faster. Okay, so you're probably thinking, well, the tool that ends up costing way more must have a higher base rate, right? I mean, that's what makes sense. But when you look at the raw numbers, the actual cost per token, you find something that's frankly pretty shocking. And boom, here's the big twist in the story. When you actually compare them token for token, which is the basic unit of work for these AIs, Cursor's own internal auto model is cheaper. Yeah, you heard that right, cheaper. This is totally counterintuitive, and it just goes to show you that the sticker price is not the full story. This table just lays it out in black and white. For every million tokens you feed in, Cursor's auto model is just $1.25. Claude Sonnet is $3. So yeah, on paper, the raw materials are definitely cheaper with Cursor. But as we've already seen, that's not what's driving the final bill. So it becomes really clear, doesn't it? The problem isn't the price per token. The real financial danger is that combination of a fixed, prepaid bucket of credits and just how quickly your team can burn through it using those powerful, high-end models that they love to use. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time diagnosing the problem. Now for the good part. Let's talk about solutions. As a manager, you are not helpless here. There are very real, very actionable steps you can take to rein in these costs and make your AI spend predictable again. All right, this is your manager's toolkit. Think of these as 3 simple directives you can give your team, like today, to slash that Cursor bill and get rid of that end-of-month surprise party for your budget. Let's break these down real quick. First, make it policy. Default to Cursor's own cheaper internal models for most of your routine tasks. Second, enable prompt caching. Seriously, this is a no-brainer. It's like telling the system, hey, remember this answer, don't charge me for it again. And third, and this is the real game changer, bring your own API key. This lets you connect your own Claude account directly, completely bypassing Cursor's 20% markup. All right, let's tie all of this together. Now that we know all this, how do you actually make the right call for your team? And, more importantly, for your budget? Look, at the end of the day, it really just boils down to one thing: your team's usage profile. It's that simple. If your developers are light, occasional users, then yeah, Cursor's fixed pool can be perfectly fine, even cost-effective. But if you've got power users, a high-volume team that lives in their editor all day, they are going to shred through that credit pool. And for them, going direct with Claude on a pay-as-you-go plan is almost guaranteed to be cheaper and, crucially, way more predictable. So if you're going to walk away from this with just a few things in your head, make it these. 1. High volume use on Cursor can, no joke, be 10 times more expensive. 2. The real risk is in the billing model, those fixed pools and markups, not the price per token. 3. You absolutely can control these costs with proactive management. And finally, number 4, you must know how your team works before you sign that contract.
So that leaves you with a really important question to ask yourself when you get back to your desk. Is your team's AI tool a predictable asset that's delivering clear ROI, or is it a ticking time bomb hidden in your budget? Now you have the framework to figure that out.